MCG as Carlton reigns supreme. 7 straight for the Saints, but at what cost? And it's showdown time in South Australia.
And puts the Crows back in front.
Good evening and welcome to the 5th quarter. It's been another huge day, Saturday football, and it started this afternoon, Andy, at the MCG. A great come-from-behind victory by the Blues.
Halfway through the last quarter, they're 27 points down, Michael, and it looked like she was all over. No energy at all in the Carlton camp. Collingwood looked like they were on the way back, and then something happened. It's a mystery to us and one of those football miracles, I think.
Well, Justin Davies stepped up to the plate, kicked 3 goals in 6 minutes.
Had never kicked multiple goals before.
That's right, and turned it right around for the Blues. And also some controversy at half-time. We'll have a look at a bit of a melee as the players left the ground at half-time, but also a fan was ejected from the stadium for some comments he made to the Collingwood players, a Carlton fan, as they left the ground at half-time. Is this the new tight security the AFL employ?
Look, I hope so. I mean, obviously we've reacted from the Telstra Dome incident that featured Danny Frawley in Richmond a few weeks ago, the AFL and the Victorian Police. And I think the football community has decided that we don't want to see that sort of stuff. Now, a lot of people might suggest that that is a bit heavy-handed, but I'm all for it, I've got to say. I reckon that you've got to support the people who are trying to protect the players and the coaches, and that's what was happening in this case. So that bloke probably needed to be ejected for the good of the lot of us.
And we'll also look a bit later at the big win by the Saints, 7 on the trot at Subiaco Oval over the Dockers, something that sides, well, very rarely do at Subiaco Oval.
Well, they'd won 13 of their last 14 at Subiaco Fremantle. I think it now means that St Kilda's won 16 of their last 17 competitive matches, if you count the Wizard Cup and the end of 2003. They are, without a doubt, the hottest side in the competition. I know that's stating the obvious, but 16 of their last 17 just underlines how well they're going.
But there's no doubt the story of the day was the big win by the Blues at the MCG. And as we mentioned, they were in front, the Magpies, by 27 points at the 3-minute mark of the final term, but then the Blues rammed on 6 goals. Favola, the star, with 6, and I've mentioned Justin Davies. Those 3 goals came within 6 minutes during the final quarter. Leon Davis kicked 4 and Tarrant 2. And this is the, well, the Malay Blue fight, whatever you like to call it, as the players left the ground at half-time.
Well, we were there today, and I'm not sure you picked up on it in the commentary box, but down at ground level there was high anxiety in the game. It was a game riddled with errors in the first half, but there was definitely a feeling out at ground level that there was a lot of nervous energy, a lot of tension. The downside for the loser in this one was going to be pretty significant. I think both clubs are aware of that, particularly Carlton off the back of their humiliation last week. And you just had a feeling that as they walked off, given the fact that they were heading to the same side of the ground, separated by about 10 metres.
That's an interesting point. With the construction at the MCG, both sides leave the ground. Their races are right next to each other. Yeah. So it emphasises the fact that there is a problem.
And it was a rolling maul, this one. It looked like it was over on 3 or 4 occasions. It started with Lappin and Locken, and then it became Camperell in Holland, and then it became Johnson and Hume, and then Dane Swan jumped in, and Anthony Rocker made a beeline for Nick Stevens. It was just one little spark after another, and it almost got ugly, but I don't think we'll hear anything from it.
Well, the star in the final quarter, as we've mentioned, was Justin Davies. He kicked 3 goals in 6 minutes. That was the first. But really, he was such an unlikely hero. Carlton looking for someone to stand up, and he was the man.
Well, I think you or Sauce or Hutto had said in the call that they really need somebody to provide a secondary target alongside Favola, who kicked 5 out of the 7 at that stage in the game. And unlikely, it doesn't get any more unlikely than this bloke. He's taken number 39, I think it was, in the national draft a couple of years ago. They've been waiting for him, and he finally delivered. Adrian DeLuca was another one of the kids taken out of the VFL last year at about 71 or 72. Another Shane O'Sullivan selection that's coming good. And that mark he took in the goal under the heat to put him back in front was vindication for the selections that the Carlton recruiting staff made at the end of last year, I guess.
Well, some bad news for Collingwood, not only with the result, but injury to Nathan Buckley, the captain. And it looked as though he re-injured a hamstring that, well, was torn about 26 days ago. So some real concerns for the Magpies.
Well, it is. I mean, it seemed to happen so easily. It didn't seem to be a significant twist or turn. We see it here. He tried to get to Davies, and then he approached Hume. It probably happened in the stretch when he went to
there,
Davies.
that's where it happened, because he didn't even change direction to try and get back to Hume, which he ordinarily would have done.
And
So
he went straight off. He went straight to the bench, and just there was not 1 minute of treatment. They didn't look at him. He just nodded. As soon as he came off the ground, the medicos at Collingwood knew what had happened, and he just sat there disconsolate for the rest of the. It's probably going to be another 3 or 4 weeks for Buckley.
Well,
and
at least you'd think, at least 4 weeks.
Well, and they're 1 and 6 now. They've entrenched themselves at the bottom of the ladder. They can't afford to be without the skipper. He was going beautifully when he did that hamstring.
Well, one person, of course, very disappointed with the performance today was the Collingwood coach, Mick Malthouse. This is some of what he had to say after the match.
Oh, it's a total disappointment. I just reckon that if we had a pinched 1 goal, the game was effectively over. And we had our chances. The 10-yard square, we missed a sitter in the 10-yard square. They got their tail up. Momentum's a funny thing. It's disappointing that we've come as far as we had by round 6 to really drop away round 7. Really drop away. Supporters complete, you know, they're supporting the club. I suspect that they would stick to it, and there's others that are going to be pretty angry about it. All I can do as a football coach in conjunction with the match committee is work to eliminate